Hey, it's Dusty Thunder with another Reddit story for you. This one is from the AITA subreddit and is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Suggesting We Lock Up the Christmas Presents After What My Niece Did Last Year? Every year, my siblings and I, alongside our families, spend Christmas with our parents. We stay at their house for a few days. Everyone opens gifts together. It's hectic, but a lot of fun. The kids enjoy having one big sleepover with their cousins. My mom likes having everyone home again. We all pitch in. It's a win-win. Last year, my brother married Sally. She has a 7-year-old daughter, Mindy. This was their first Christmas with us. It seemed like they were having a fun time. Christmas Eve, all the kids went to the finished basement to sleep. We told the kids not to open the gifts without us and to wake us up when they woke up. This was repeated several times. Once the kids were asleep, we put all the gifts under the tree and eventually went to bed ourselves. The next morning around 6 a.m., I wake up early and head downstairs. I find the living room a mess. Half of the gifts were unwrapped. Several of them had been ripped from their boxes. There was Mindy playing with some of the toys. Most of the ones weren't even hers. Oh, double no. She knows how to read and they were all labeled, so she knew this. I was in shock. I went and got my brother, Sally, alongside with the rest of the adults. Sally was super embarrassed. My mom was very upset. The other kids weren't up yet, so we tried to salvage what we could while Sally talked to Mindy. Not everything could be fixed as she had broken a couple of toys completely. The broken ones weren't even her own toys. Luckily, not everything was damaged, and even the boxes that were, the kids didn't notice. But my nephew, sister's son, had one of his big gifts destroyed, and he was sad when everyone else got theirs while he was told he'd have to wait for a new one to come back in. Sally and my brother reimbursed everyone. Mindy didn't get to open gifts with everyone but joined the festivities later. She apologized but kept making excuses. She said that she didn't want to wait and she wanted to see what everyone else got. We were all preparing to go to my parents again this year. I put in the group chat that we should either lock the door to the living room this year or put a gate around the tree so no one can get to it. I didn't even name names, just specifically said no one. Sally and my brother got mad, accusing me of treating Mindy like a baby or an animal. I said I'm not, but this is a precaution so none of the kids are tempted. They said this isn't necessary and I'm holding a mistake over Mindy's head. I said no, I'm not. I'm trying to make sure we have no repeat. Because I know it'll be asked, Mindy does not have autism or ADHD, and even if she did, my daughter has ADHD and both my sister's kids are on the spectrum. They knew better. I don't think Mindy was malicious. She was only 6, but I do think precautions should be made. My parents agree with me, and my brother is mad that I put it in their heads. Am I the astronaut? Well, this is a joyous time. What a great family get together. You know, I think part of the problem with extended family get-togethers, especially if everybody's staying in one place, is that you have people who have different lives. They live differently. They have different rules. Their kids have different rules. They have different understandings. They have different levels of understandings. You bring this microcosm of a blended society into one place. It's like an experiment for a few days to just see what kind of hell can break loose. The question here is, am I the astronaut for suggesting that we lock up the Christmas presents after what my niece did last year? So if one of our kids had done this, we would definitely have been having conversations and working on this between these two instances. However, knowing that everybody was going to be thinking this coming up to this event, I think it's really on the parents of this girl to reassure everyone else that there's not going to be a repeat. It is on them to come up with or assure everyone that a solution is already in place. Like, yes, we've talked to her. We spent the whole year working on being able to have some self-control. We are talking to her more as we get closer to Christmas, making sure that she's not going to do something like that again, and we're confident that she won't. That message would have been soothing, would have alleviated the problems here, and probably would have prevented OP from having to send this message in the first place. Now, you say you didn't name names, but everybody knew who you were talking about here, OP, so I don't think that excuse works here. Everybody knew who you were talking about, but you're justified in trying to come up with some kind of solution here. It was options for a solution. And instead of them coming back and saying, look, we've been working on it, you don't need to worry, they just said, we're butthurt, it's not an issue, which is the same thing as saying you don't need to worry, but it's the butthurt part of it where it's like, okay, you don't get to be offended about this because it actually happened last year. And unless you've done a whole lot of work in between now and then, there's a reasonable risk that it's going to happen again. So you don't get to get offended about it. You don't get to. It's a real risk that all these other families' kids are going to be harmed again. There was a great amount of harm that was done last year, and it is reasonable to put forth solutions beforehand. And the fact that they didn't start that conversation, I think, is the first foul against them. The fact that they got butthurt when someone else did it is the second foul against them. And the fact that they're now mad because the parents agree with OP is probably the third foul against them. It's not like OP suggesting to put your kid in a straitjacket Christmas Eve night. I don't think she intentionally broke toys. I think she was trying to play with toys. And if toys were like partially in boxes and she was trying to do it, I'm sure it wasn't malicious. I'm sure she didn't do it intentionally, but she knew those gifts weren't hers. She said she wanted to see what everybody else got. Freaking Curious George here. Mischievous. It's reasonable to put forth preventative precautions. What are those storage boxes they like drop off? It's like a storage unit, but they drop it off in your driveway. It's like Santa dropped off one of those and all your gifts are inside of it. Hey, look at that. Santa brought a pod and all your gifts are locked inside of it. It's a fun game. Actually, it's a scavenger hunt to be able to put the combination together to unlock the lock that is keeping all the gifts inside the pod. There's a way around this, right? Now, Navy Thunder, who's 2.5, coming up on 3. We still have a couple of presents for cousins under the tree. She brought one of them to Candy Thunder tonight and had already taken the bow off. Had not unwrapped anything, but she doesn't understand the whole these presents are here. They are not for me kind of concept. Even though we've explained it to her, she knows they're for other kids. And Candy Thunder was like, no, this is for a cousin. This is not yours. Set it aside. And Navy, in her little munchkin voice, said, I have an idea. I'll go get another one. And wanted to go get one of the other ones that was still under the tree. Like that was going to fix things. So there's this part of kids and Christmas that's just like, it's this temptation. I remember when I was a kid, my dad had a Christmas train set hidden away that it was going to get out on Christmas Day. And we found it in the storage room and I messed around with it and I freaking broke it. And then it got taken away. There's like, it's kryptonite. Christmas and gifts are like kryptonite for some kids. But it doesn't matter. NTA. OP was trying to protect his own kids and the kids of other families here. And it should have been Mindy's parents who were heading up this conversation in the first place here.